Your funny story about what?
About YouTube.
What happened on YouTube? I mean, should we say
it? Well, anyway, listen. Welcome to another live episode of Above Average Black Men. Yours truly, Chris Bender Sr.
Chris Jr., as always, here to empower, inspire, and uplift the community through our conversation, dialogue, and dev.
Like, follow, subscribe, share, comment, interact with us. We all on all platforms.
You need some energy from me.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Every week is. I said that last week.
I
said that last week.
Multitasking. I'm sorry.
Interact with us. But yes.
So here's my funny YouTube story, right? This is my funny YouTube story.
This is no sound there.
Huh?
No sound on Facebook.
Right.
So let's get it
Here we go again.
rolling.
I think Facebook
because we are still live on other platforms here.
I think Facebook be
so I mean,
go ahead, you
I feel like they do. I don't want to talk too much nonsense on them. You know, we still gonna post there. But we are again live in the studio and a great conversation tonight. I feel like we're taking it a little bit of a different direction. It's still gonna be something positive, but more so in the sports realm, which is something that I feel like is near and dear to all of us as sports fans. There's been a lot happening or taking place in the media between, you know, the WNBA, a lot of buzz around there, and America's pastime, baseball. A lot of kind of, I guess I'll say, controversy at the moment around, you know, the Negro League and stats being allowed amongst just MLB players. So definitely want to dive into that, as well as I mentioned, the WNBA. More specifically, you know, the drama around Catlin Clark and Angel Reese specifically.
Before we get into it, man, I think I'm going to sign off and come back on.
I mean, we're still live on
Podbean. I don't know why we don't have
this is going to be on Spotify, but we can do that on Facebook. Just sign off on there. But related to Catlin Clark in the WNBA, I guess we'll start there first. Like, what are your thoughts, Dave? I feel like I'll allow for you to kind of open up the floor and just kind of, what are your initial thoughts when you even hear or think of WNBA?
I'll be honest. Well, I'll be honest. This is making me watch a little bit more, at least making me keep up to date with the WNBA. I think what she has done for the game already has been great. It is a lot of unfair criticism because first, it is a competition.
It ain't unfair.
It is a competition thing. I do get it. Like, you know, you don't want her to pretty much score. That's the goal of the game. You have to be a defender and stop the person from scoring. But at the same time, I feel like there has been some unnecessary shots that have been fired her way. For example, it's like when she got hip checked off the inbound.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I feel like she does flop, but at the same time, it's like, come on, that was an unnecessary play. You really did not have to do that at all. You could play good defense.
But you know what, though? Like, this is the thing. I think, I'm sure hard fouls have happened before in the WNBA. Like, that's no different. Like, we've seen Liz Cambridge in games, like, bullying people. So, I mean, I think it's really part of the game, and it's I think of course, because of the spotlight that she has, like she's garnered a lot of attention. It's a lot on her shoulders. It's certainly a target on her back. But again, I just think that's part of it. Like when LeBron James came in the league, you think everybody just like bowed down and was like, "Yo, he the GOAT." No, like some people, even people on his team, didn't even necessarily like him. So. And it wasn't necessarily anything much about his game. It was just the attention that he was garnering. So I think it's not to say Catlin Clark is LeBron James, but I do think that she makes the game exciting. Yeah. She plays a brand of basketball that a lot of people are watching now. Like Steph Curry, threes all day. Like that's entertaining. Kids want to grow up to be like Steph Curry and shoot threes. James Harden pulling back, shooting threes. Tyrese Maxey, he gets to the bucket, but he be shooting that three ball too. So it's just like it's part of the game now. And I think like seeing it happen within the WNBA, I think that's what's really kind of making it exciting. And I think it's when you get other women that probably start to play like that, I think they would be excited about them too.
But Shannon Sharp made a great point because I was watching him and Ocho Cinco's show. He was saying when you do have younger players, no one ever goes out their way to throw cheap shots at them or anything like that. You're going, you might show them up in the midst of the game, but you're not going to do anything that could physically harm them or anything like that just because they're a younger player. They need to get used to this. No, they're going to make sure they do things within the game to let them know this is what you're going to go up against, but they're not going to physically try to harm you just to make a statement.
That hip check was not bad.
First of all, Shannon Sharp and
180 pounds.
Shannon Sharp and Ucho, they didn't stick to football because in basketball it was like that. When you came to the rookie, they kicked Michael Jordan's tail.
I was gonna say that.
They beat up the pulp out of Michael Jordan, man. As Reggie Miller, those guys took a whooping back in the day. They didn't let you just come in the league and score. And let me get to Caitlin Clark. My thing about Caitlin Clark is this: she's a good player. She's not a great player yet. They're giving her credit for everything. So of course the guy, it's like if you're the man, people won't come at you. So if you want to be the man, now you got to be the man. Her team, because of Caitlin Clark, all the Black Stars, was the first team to get a chartered flight in the WNBA. So what do you think people have been in the league 10 years? Won championship, all American in college. What do you think they're saying? Now all of a sudden everybody's saying now she is the WNBA. She just got there. And she's not great yet. She may be great. She waiting the best player on the floor in the college championship.
But I think what it is, I think people are saying that because it's really about marketing. And I think maybe this is probably really part of the issue at hand, really, is some people question why her. Like, why is she the one being marketed?
Bob Costas, he summed it up. If she was black, you wouldn't be seeing it. The perfect example was this. She got the hard foul, right? Mm-hmm. All over the news. Well, what's the name? Angel Reese got grabbed by the neck, got her throat thrown to the floor.
That was on the news too.
But no, not like that. Not like that.
But they were talking.
It was like, and it was funny because Bob Costa said only he could say it because it was black on black, so it wasn't a big story. So a lot of media didn't run with it. But everybody kept running with this other thing over and over, and it was wrong. It was a cheap shot.
It was.
But I'm not gonna say it's a part of the game. But she's not the first person to be recipient of a cheap shot.
But I think what it is though. Just looking at the bigger picture of it is like. It's just like repeated things where you see just people being extra. Like it's a point in time where this girl got fouled on the opposing team. Like she's shooting 2 free throws. She shoots the first one and then goes run to Caitlin Clark. Like forgotten to her because she had free throws. Like the way her main objective is like, yo, we on that.
But the way she was.
Who else can do that too?
But the way she. No, I mean, but the way she was in college, all the smack she was talking, doing her hand, all that stuff. What you think they're going to greet her, let her come in and just dominate? They weren't going to let her dominate. Now, they are picking her up 90 feet. They are like on her. But what did you think was going to happen? You can't. It's like an Allen Iverson. When, everybody, we're going to knock the crack out of him for 4 quarters. It's hopefully by the time you get to the 4th quarter, he can't score. They did it to Michael Jordan. It's been happening. The WNBA has been rough. You watch some of those games.
That's what I was saying. I said that too.
It wasn't like they were just playing patty cake basketball. And now she's in there. But she is a target. It's like LeBron James. When Kobe Bryant was the same when Kobe came into the league. Ain't no 18-year-old kid gonna come in and dominate because people wanted to prove
you gotta earn it.
People wanted to prove, you gotta, you can't come straight out of college. So those guys, they had to pay their dues.
Yeah.
So I mean, that one was a little extra. But come on, man. And then the other thing, the more you cry, the more they gonna foul you. Mm-hmm. Once they know they can get in your head, that's the other thing that's starting to happen. She keep running to the ref. The ref ain't gonna bail you out. I've been reffing Devin and Chris for 10 years. And here you come in here 10 games. It ain't gonna happen.
I'm not saying let her dominate, but at the same time, if she the reason why we now all getting charter flights,
and that's I'm not going to be an argument too. Like I think it's more about
I'm not going to kill the cash cow.
It's the bigger grand scheme.
But you're looking at it wrong. If your life has been, I don't care who you are, if you've dedicated your life to something, and I agree with what you said, but if you dedicated your life to something, and all of a sudden somebody comes along, and they haven't really done anything. And they become the annoying one. Yeah, that's a problem.
It's like Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson.
So when they start, but it's the same thing. They had to pay their dues. Right. They start calling Michael Jordan Black Jesus. People went crazy about that. So, but they had to pay their dues. They didn't just. And Larry Bird took the same butt when he came in there. What they say? Because he was slow and white and can't jump. He took it and he dominated. And he was the biggest trash talker in the NBA.
Yeah.
So you got to earn it. You can't just come in and say, okay, I'm Caitlin Clark. You can't do that. And every level you go to, the competition is going to get better and better and better.
Mm-hmm.
And the bigger your name is, the tougher it's going to be for you. It's like I put Saquon Barkley. Yo, it's gonna be a try. Yo, if he don't get 1,000 yards this year, man, he can get 999 yards and score 20 touchdowns. He gonna be a bust. I'm just because when you have the name, it goes with the territory.
Understandably so. I get that.
It goes with the territory.
But I think they want more eyes on the game. That's something that they've been kind of clamoring to do, and they couldn't figure it out in the past. With how do we get more people to watch?
But why?
And I think again, her brand, her style of basketball, I want to see somebody pulling up a couple steps over half court and just
But people who watch her, it's not just about the WNBA. And I agree with Angel Reese on this. This all started when her and Angel Reese started feuding 2 years ago, and everybody started paying attention.
I mean,
I'm just saying
she was cooking.
No, but you're not listening to what I'm saying. It carried into the NBA,
the WNBA.
WNBA. It carried into the WNBA. But she didn't do it by herself. It was no villain. Batman can't be any good unless he got a villain.
So it's a two. I think.
I disagree. She wasn't the best player. She got shut down. I'm not saying she could turn out to be a great player.
She broke the record for scoring.
Yeah, but you can't. She did it with threes. They're about to shoot twos.
Exactly. That's what people love.
But that's my point. That's my point. You're going into the league with a bunch of guys who bust their butt to get there. It was no fanfare. And then you have the greatest one. I understand I do understand how they feel.
I just think
this has been your career. This has been your livelihood. This has been what and people before her who didn't have it had to go overseas and do all this stuff. Now all of a sudden she comes along. I mean, I understand. I agree with what you're saying, but they're thinking, people are human. Their emotions.
And that's what I was gonna say. Unfortunately, it's some right, emotion and ego, but business wise, ride that wave. Not saying, you still want to play her aggressive. You don't want her going off and doing all that stuff, but you don't want to hurt her. I feel you definitely need to continue to ride that wave of the garnering attention that the lead that they have.
I'm not there.
And I think people still, from that, people have grown to just get into the game, period.
I don't think nobody.
This is bringing eyes.
I don't think they're trying to.
And then revenue too. That's going to get more money. They want to get paid more. That's how you get paid more. More people in the seats.
No, that's how she going to get.
No,
the problem with everybody. Come on, man. You know that wealth ain't distributed equally. The NBA fought years for that. The NBA fought that for decades.
But I'll say at the same
time,
distributed
equally.
The deal she got, it also helped put eyes on someone like Asia Wilson, who also is getting a sneaker deal now, who didn't have.
There's a couple chicks in college. That's Juju when she get
but how much? But the thing, and what Bob Costas talked about today, a lot of it came because of what you gave to her, and people started complaining. Then they started recognizing other people. So I'm not against what you're saying, but I get it. You've been playing this game your whole life. Somebody comes along who, at this point, haven't proven anything. Because how many guys dominated in college and got to the NBA and did diddly squat?
Of course, a lot.
So I'm saying haven't proven anything. And so I do see where you put all your hard work, and now all of a sudden it's like, man, they stuff we've been fighting for, just 2 years ago. Remember, they had threatened because they locker rooms in fear, everything. So I understand how they feel.
Shoot more threes.
And if she was black, and I'm I'm not racist, but if she was black, it wouldn't be like that. And so that's what Bob Costas brought up today. That's part of the marketing thing, because it's like when Larry Bird came in the league. He was a phenomenon because this white boy came into a black league and he dominated.
But it's like
he kicking butt. When everybody else was being phased out, dude started dominating.
Who plays like her right now?
What, in the WNBA?
Yeah.
I don't know the names. I don't know why, but they got some talent in the WNBA.
They got talent.
And
they got some, because we basketball,
she got to get bigger.
We love the game.
She got to get bigger. She got to get strong. And I'm not saying she won't be, but she's not the greatest one right now. No. That's what everybody's calling her. That's part of the frustration. Even the people who the GOATs of the WNBA saying the same thing. Earn it. If you earn it, you got it.
But you know what's funny?
Rebecca Lobo, all them guys who played this game and were very, very good at it, who won national championships like UConn and so forth. Championship, they've been at the highest level. And then the double standard is this, because if you don't win a championship, they don't want to count you. You ain't winning no championship.
But you know what's funny, or not the irony here, is this is very much the same thing that happened in the NBA. You know what I mean? In terms of you have a young guy that you like put all this pressure and like the accolades on before you get to the leagues. You have people like your Anthony Bennett's. I don't want to say Kwame Brown because he wasn't. I mean, just not. I'm not saying these people are bust, but careers didn't go how people necessarily expected. And I think this same things happen in the WNBA in terms of like they just kind of are crowning somebody before even giving them a chance to even be in there and seeing what they got. I just feel like that's the nature of kind of professional sports.
But no, it's not that. Is you can see if the nature of it happens every year. She can't, and I'll give her this. She came along at the right time, and she has a skill set. So it's not like they took a scrub and threw a scrub out there and they try to make her. That's not that. But she's got to learn and grow, just like LeBron did, just like Kobe did, just like all the great players you said. You can't anoint them right away because of potential. And Michael Jordan talks about that, how that's the problem with the NBA. You pay the guys you just named, you pay them off potential. You like all this money up with those dudes, and then they, like you said, they may not be bust, but because they don't live up to the money, Tobias Harris. Tobias Harris is a solid.
He's going to take a shot.
but he's a solid player. But once you pay him that money, he's not being judged as a solid player anymore. You paying him max contract, that's the expectation.
Yeah. Sure.
So what I'm saying is I do think, and I would agree with this, I think it's a little unfair to put that pressure on her, because even in the NBA, you get a training camp, you get some kind of, she went from college right to the WNBA. She didn't get a warm up, she didn't get anything. So that is kind of tough. First of all, your legs are tired, you've been playing, but then you go from one brand of basketball to another brand of basketball in a matter of weeks with no adjustment. So this is her exhibition season. This is her scrimmage.
I just thought about Adam Morrison. That was another terrible one, but
and remember they thought he was going to revolutionize the game.
Yes. So I think again the same thing happens.
So that's why you have to be careful, man, when you start saying you are the anointed one, you are this, you are that, because first of all, they don't come along that often. But people still talk like he's an underachiever. All these accomplished people still talk about dude like he's done nothing.
Yeah. But I just think that is the nature, unfortunately, of sports media. Actually, like I think they
don't get me started on
that. They always even think back to Michael Jordan. Like we look at how great he is now, but when he was playing, you don't think they was talking about him smoking cigars and playing golf and gambling and
but by the time he started doing that, he was already great.
But
when he first came into the league, nobody, everybody wanted to take credit for it. Nobody expected him to turn into what he turned into. Nobody did. And it was a little bit different because he didn't get cocky until he really got good.
Yeah.
When he came into the league, like Dennis Rodman was the same way. When Dennis Rodman, before he became Dennis Rodman,
Detroit,
he was the worm. They called him the worm, man. He was a hustler, rebounder, still driving the same car he drove in college. So, when he went off, at least he had the credibility to go off. You little off your rocker, and then you get some credibility. I just think it's a learning curve. Steph Curry had to learn the curve. You got to go through that.
Yeah.
So I think, and I'm not blaming her because I think it's unfair that they put that pressure on her.
I mean,
and she's still a kid. She's technically still a kid.
Yeah.
And they put a lot of pressure on her. But I do think I think it's an overreaction. That's my humble opinion. I think it's an overreaction, man. I think it's too early to take somebody and say you're the anointed in the league that's got all these guys, history makers in this league, man.
Yeah, but I think it's hard for me to kind of. I do agree. It is unfair to kind of maybe put her in that spotlight and have that pressure. But again, I think Steph Curry, man, he made that style of game so enticing, and then seeing somebody in the WNBA that is playing that similar type of style like that is intriguing. People want to watch that. And I think, again, in college basketball, again, I mentioned it, basketball. There's plenty of them actually that are coming up that can do a lot of the same things too.
But I bet you more so.
So I know that
it's more people watching because this little white girl is doing it in the black sport. It's the same thing when Larry Bird came along, man. It was me included. I was like, who this guy, man? Everybody talking about this dude, man. I'm like, come on, man. And then when it was, and then when you started, nobody thought he was going to be what he is. And then he got in the league. It was the same thing. You hear NBA players, all the stars from back in the day talk about it. When he first got in the league, they kept hearing all this stuff, and they kept looking at him like, come on, man. And then, when he started playing, he started getting up, they realized, this is the real deal.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the white and black thing.
Well, it's not a white, but it is. See, how you marketing has everything to do with color. That if she come on, how can you say that? It's not racism. It has nothing to do with racism. So you tell me if a black player came out playing like that, right? It would be the same thing. No, it would not be this. And even you got professional people been around the game saying the same thing. That's what some of the players now they reacting wrong to your point. But that's what a lot of the players are saying. That's what a lot of coaches saying. That's what Bob Costas said. Not in a racial way, but she's because of her skin color, she's marketable now because everybody now a sport that's been dominated predominantly black, sprinkled in some white stars, hey.
Yeah,
so it's changed sexuality thing. If I'm being honest, which I know isn't popular.
Well, I ain't getting to sexual. I'm not touching that with
the game.
Because let me tell you something real quick. This was YouTube banned our video last week.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. So they said anything about the video, right? Because whoever the watch person is for YouTube,
it's an automatic thing.
They must. It's
like a robot.
Yeah, I was a robot. Because when we were talking about the kid from the school got killed, and it was a stupid decision. They thought I don't know what they were still talking about murder or something. So they banned. I got this little thing saying.
You might get this one banned too.
Then I had to kill it.
You can't say properly.
Then I had to kill it because we weren't. What we were talking about. What we were talking about was making good choices. Anyway, so I just thought that was funny. But no, I I like her. I think she probably will be great, but she's not great yet. And if you follow this game for a long, it does. It's like. Everybody wants the first one. Everybody wants the next one.
Mm-hmm.
And so race does matter. If you're white and you can dominate in the black game, you're very marketable because you're going to draw people in who don't know anything about the sport. It's just like if you put a woman in the NBA. You got women who don't know basketball going to be because they see the woman in the NBA. So that always attracts.
I think Skylar Diggins got the same market.
No.
Angel Reese is also getting the same market.
Oh, it ain't
when she was at LSU,
when she was
on her top,
college,
they still
even
more. She took that to the WNBA.
No, Maya Moore did not get this.
No, but she took that to the WNBA.
But she didn't get this. I agree with you. If you want to stay in college, they did. But in the NBA, WNBA, Maya Moore, those guys.
I'm talking about.
I'm
talking about Maya Moore had a sneaker.
They ain't get this kind of play.
And then I'm talking about Angel Reese though. Like she had her follow her to the WNBA, and she's been marketable. I think that's what. And it's not even for what was funny. Her marketability sometimes not even her game.
Well, it's not. Well, her following has a lot to do with what's the dude? LaMelo Ball just is offered to pay her fine.
Alonzo
Ball. So Shaq shows up. So she knows famous. That helps her too. That she knows famous people too. Because she ain't setting league on fire either. She's playing well. But she ain't out there.
I hate to say it, but if she looked like Brittany Griner, that's what
that's worse. That's even worse. That just proves my point. That proves my point. That proves my point. And I'm not saying anybody who looks at her and finds her attractive and says that's marketable. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm saying, but that stuff does matter. If you find somebody that's a different race and they get, it does matter. Simone Biles, she killing it, man. Blacks weren't supposed to be dominating in gymnastics. It wasn't supposed to be our sport. For the longest time, it was the Russians. It was all these other. It wasn't us. The United States used to fill teams with no blacks on it.
Yeah.
Now it's like, when you look at it was 4 blacks competing. So it does matter.
Yeah.
It does. And I'm not saying that's the only reason. I'm not saying they're doing it as to pit anybody against anybody, but you find something that works in marketing and you run with it and you play with it. And she fits. First of all, she's not built like a basketball player.
I think it's her game.
If you look at Kelsey Plum is built. But
I think it's her game. And what's funny is I don't even think Caitlin Clark is that attractive.
How many times you keep saying you think it's her game? How many times you watching the W? She's struggling the W. It's not her game. I'm not saying she won't get there. And she will. I believe with some rest and some hard work and she will get there. But her game right now is not that. It's not her game right now.
Personally, I think the girl from the LA Sparks, Cameron Brink, I think she's
tough.
actually been playing the best out of all of them.
Yeah, she
it's
has
a shame
been.
she's not getting the coverage that these other ones are.
Because it does
She is
matter.
getting coverage.
No,
She
but
still
she
ain't
ain't
getting
getting like
coverage.
that.
They've had to move their games to larger stadiums.
They sell
But
no more than Lakers games.
But they're not getting the same coverage. And the point is, and I bet if you went back and you surveyed all those fans, man, yeah, they came, but they didn't come because she was the best player on the court. They came to see who she was.
Everywhere. It's like crazy.
But they came to see who she was. It's like it's just like when Iverson, people wanted to come see who he was.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that? Who's this little dude? But that's my point. It's not. It wasn't you. You make. What I'm trying to say to you is, it's an attraction right now. It's not. They're not attracted because of her game right now because she's not playing well. I gotta see
Cameron Brink.
But see, right? But that's the point. She's not getting. And I'm not saying wow, but she's not getting named. Like I look at Kelsey Plum. Kelsey Plum is now getting more plops as a because she was what's named wife while and now she's modeling and doing all this different stuff. But they're not talking about on the basketball court.
But you want to know what? Like again, I think we mentioned and said this. Like it's not her fault.
Oh, it's not. No, I would agree with you. 200%. I wouldn't blame
her into this spotlight and
I feel
constantly
sorry
talking
for
about
her.
her.
I feel sorry for her.
It's almost like legit the LeBron era, like with this. We just see him nonstop every day. Caitlin Clark.
I feel sorry
she
for
woke
her
up this
because
morning.
I know
she drove to the gym.
that has to be hard. I know that has to be hard on her because she got to feel like it's everybody against her. And even a hard foul, her teammates didn't come to her.
I want to see her do well.
Even a hard foul, her teammates didn't come to her rescue. They didn't exactly run over there and
that's the most shocking part.
But you want to know what's crazy is that this low key is giving her more people that support her.
Yeah. All I'm saying is if she does well, the league will do well. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and I'm not disagreeing with you, but I'm looking at it from a player that's been there. That there's some kind of you feel some kind of way.
Yeah, but your way hasn't worked.
You feel some. What you mean it hasn't worked? You feel some kind of way. What do you mean? No, you missing.
Or what is the game? Just let your game do the talking.
You feel some kind of way about your craft. You feel some kind of way that you've been doing this for all this time, and somebody comes along hasn't proven anything. Yeah, you feel that. That's like if you're on a team and you're the man, and somebody come and have one game, make 15 points, and all of a sudden they want to anoint him. Yeah, you do feel some kind of way. Now, hopefully, yeah, see, you say
they're gonna make you feel like
you say that.
See,
you say that.
She's inspiring the next generation of female basketball players.
You say that now,
to
Devin,
shoot three
because
balls.
you're not in that situation. But when you're playing something that's your livelihood, you're competitive. You feel some kind of way.
I'm telling you.
You feel some kind of way. You playing something. You putting your blood, sweat. You do. I'm not saying it's right the way they acted. I agree with you that they got to start thinking long term. But right now, they do. They feel, and they are. It is a little petty.
Let them start scoring.
I'll be honest. It is a little petty. It is a little petty.
It
is a little petty. But see, y'all missing the point. It's not about that. It's about somebody's coming here and all the stuff they've been fighting for. She's getting. That's what the argument is, and it's wrong. But it's because they're not thinking like you thinking. Well, I'm going to try to fight now. Forget the fact that I didn't have them before. Who cares? But that's what they're thinking. They're thinking, man, we've been fighting for this and fighting and scrapping, and this girl, and they just throw it at us now.
But so you're getting it.
You got to the point.
But you're missing the point. You saying it. You missing the point. If you on the other side of the question. You just saying it because you're getting it. It doesn't matter how you get it.
Michael Jordan transitioned the game. He made it.
And people didn't. But people didn't. Well, no.
Right. Or even going back before that, Larry and Magic.
Believe it or not,
saved the NBA.
Yeah, they did. They rebuilt the.
So it's like.
But believe it or not, Allen Iverson is more of an international thing than Jordan. But that's a different story.
But still,
the Cornrows gone. But the point. But even then, people didn't embrace them. People didn't care about what they were doing for league. People did not like them because they felt like it. Like Iverson, here come Iverson now. Everybody's supposed to be wearing suit and ties and all this stuff. He come with the cornrows. Then he started getting the tattoos, and you see more and more people come out of the league doing it. People didn't care that they was being attention to the game. Yo, you breaking the norm. Actually, so I'm not saying it's right, but you breaking the norm.
I think that's a good comparison.
You breaking the same thing with Larry Bird. Larry Bird, him and Magic came in the league. You don't think that was that. And they both would tell you what made that so big was because it was white versus black. Because you had this white guy in the black dominant league kicking butt and taking names, holding his own and surpassing people. And then it started in college because they kept hyping it up when they get in college. Kept hyping up. Oh, Hope these two teams, hope these teams, and then Magic Johnson beat them. So that kind of started the whole thing because now it was competitive when you get to the pros who's going to win. And then they both went to story franchises. One goes to Boston, one goes to LA. So it was. And it wasn't a race thing, but it was good to have a white guy that could play basketball at that level in a black dominated league. So it wasn't I like white people versus black people for marketing. It was a marketing genius.
And I think like
it was a market. That's all. So what I'm saying.
What's wrong with that?
No, I know when I said that y'all said it wasn't about race, and I
don't think marketing like it's part of a marketing thing. Like
it is, but it's her race that helps her be marketed. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying it. Somebody saying I want her over black people.
Hard because it's like if I seen somebody that played like her, then like I would be like, okay, like something's off or wrong here. But there's nobody that plays like that. To say like, oh, this is because she's black, and why you didn't say that with her?
What's the knock on so many players? So why they not great? Because they didn't win the championship. That's all you hear. That's all. They can't be the GOAT because they wouldn't get a championship. Even people in the WNBA, this girl ain't won no championship. So, but that's my point. But all you hear about until you win a championship, so it is kind of a double standard. I do agree with what you're saying that they should be thinking she's opened doors for us, she's doing stuff, But it's the same thing when black people got involved in basketball. Why be one sitting there talking about, man, more people coming to the games? No. How dare you invade our space? So I'm not saying it's right, but I'm saying the other side of the coin is I do understand how they feel.
Yeah, I can understand
how they feel. But they should be thinking long term. They should be thinking pensions and more money. They should be thinking it. But sometimes, we be people.
And it's like, you know what though? It's like because ultimately you're getting what you wanted, but it's not necessarily the way that you wanted to get it.
That's like I look at Jalen Hurts. I look at Jalen Hurts. I use him as an example. When he got benched and they won a national championship, you can say what you want to say. Yeah, he won a national, but it had to hurt when you get benched from your team. That had to hurt.
Yeah, see,
he sucked it up. He sucked it up and did what he was supposed to do. But come on, that's crushing, man. Yeah. And Carson Wentz was the complete opposite. He was never the same after that. Yeah. When Foles won the Super Bowl, that dude went on the side. I don't know. He just went. So I don't know. I mean, and I kind of get that too because every time you come to work, you gotta walk past the statue of the backup quarterback. I mean, you got to be in a certain place mentally, but marketing drives everything. Yeah, and it does. Marketing people are smart. They say, okay, let's sit back. What's our angle? Our angle is a WNBA. They got some pretty good white players, but nothing like this. Nothing that we call lightning in the bottle coming out of college. She's coming from the most watched game ever. Because people watch her and Reese had that competition thing. People want to see it. Then it matched up well because she goes against Dawn Staley, who's one of his coaches. It was storybook stuff all along. It was set up for storybook stuff, and people watching for that, and I'm all for that.
Yeah. I mean, but like it's like almost a comparison a little bit to Wemby, like Wembanyama for the Spurs. Like he literally came in and changed the franchise. They're getting TV games now, like people that you never seen and heard of before. Now you're getting to know.
But if MLB was throwing him to the ground or anything, or
if I'm David Robinson or if I'm Tim Duncan, who did the same thing years ago, who put San Antonio and Max hit the winning ways, I would feel some kind of way if somebody all of a sudden now say he was the best player in San Antonio history. I would be like, yo, what are you talking about? Yeah, he can be, but he's not right now. I can't believe, especially because if you are, I know that
I'm not agreeing with, but I think even you got to do my logic still holds true about the Spurs and the money part.
But you got to do what Tim Duncan does. But that's any team. That's like the Sixers try to get games and they got to beat. But until you do what Duncan does, you're not better than him. Tim Duncan was the man. Until you do what Tim Duncan does, you can't say you better than him. Allen Iverson pound for pound for his size is probably the best basketball player.
But it's ever. The market.
But he did not win the chip because he did not win the chip. He's not in that conversation.
It's like you just want to see it, and
he's in that conversation.
People like to hype Dr.
J. Dr. J was the man, but until he won the chip, everybody talking about if you don't win the chip. That's the measure. Unfortunately, Charles, that's what they say to Charles Barkley every time they get in the conversation. You never won a championship.
He's fat.
They say he never won a championship. As great as he was, and for his size, he was one of the greatest guys to play in the NBA. Yeah. But he didn't win a champ.
Yeah, understandably so.
So that's just, no, I don't agree with that philosophy. I don't agree with that philosophy.
I don't either. He's still
great.
great.
But they do.
But, you know,
Dan Marino
not
never
to
won
go-
a chip, but he's one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time.
Yeah.
He never won a chip. You know, so, and then there's guys who won a chip. It wasn't as good as some of these guys who don't have a chip.
I understand that. Like, but I feel like we're kind of at a point where we see this from a number of different ways. Like, I think I do understand the emotional part of it, but I think I also
So then my mission
trying to
is
look at it
accomplished.
from the business part.
But the business part is the easy part
Which-
to look at, especially when you're not on the ground. It's easy to say that. But when you're in it and you put your life and your sweat and tears into this, and you've been doing this since you was 8 years old.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta get your feelings
the
out
average
of
person,
it and look at it as a
but
business
but
to
you're
get
not
paid.
you're not looking at it like that. Chris, there's grown men in all kinds of sports who have to step back to get their feelings because they do get their feelings in it. Michael Jordan, you know, there's guys, some of the greatest athletes in the world sometimes get their feelings in it because they're human.
Yeah.
So it's easy to sit here and say, oh, this, but and this is just happening now. This ain't like we talking about something that happened last year.
Mm-hmm.
This is still real time.
Yes.
This is still real time. So for some, again, I agree with that. You said it's going to take a little longer than that, especially because there's so many of them. It's not like it's just a few. Like you said, every game you watch is, you know, so you got some bruised feelings there. You know, you got some and some egos. You got that.
Yeah.
So you know, it's going to take time for them to come around and realize, like, yo, this is for the good of the game. It's like everybody loved Jackie Robinson when Jackie Robinson came to Major League Baseball. It was for the good of the game, though. But you didn't want to hear that.
I didn't see
They
that.
didn't want to hear that, though.
They said Caitlin Clark was the first white woman to experience racism.
See, come on, man. See, okay, let's move on to our next topic.
Let's
move on to our next topic, man. Let's go to our next topic, man. Yo,
That
anyway.
was so
Let's
funny.
talk
I
about
heard
the
that.
situation with the MLB and the Negro League.
Yeah, that's heating up, man. It's heating up, man. They did it kind of quietly. The Major League Baseball decided that they finally, and they said after years of research, looking at the records and digging up stuff and see what was factual and what was myth, that they were going to integrate the records from the Negro League into the Major League
MLB.
Baseball. So one, it didn't help them a lot, but guys like Jackie Robinson, Roy Campaneris, you know, they got more stats. Like all the hits they got from over there came over here. So they moved up. But, you know, Josh Gibson moved up on the home run list. So you see, like Babe Ruth, some of them guys dropped. You know, and, you know, some white superstars dropped a little bit because Josh Gibson. So it becomes, we were talking about before you came, because somebody said, well, they used to call Josh Gibson the black Babe Ruth. And one time they were interviewing Babe Ruth, and Babe Ruth said, I don't know what you're talking about. I want to be the white Josh Gibson. Because Josh Gibson he could hit, he was prowess and everything. So I mean, it's interesting because it's mixed emotions about it. You know, because some people say, who don't know baseball history, say the talent was inferior. But people who came over from that league dominated in Major League Baseball. They dominated. So it couldn't have been that inferior.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, even kind of thinking about it on a broader perspective, like a lot of these guys came over in the latter parts of their career.
Yeah,
So it wasn't even like
Satchel Paige.
Yeah, Satchel Paige.
But there's
Josh
guys,
Gibson, of course.
There's
Buck
guys
Leonard,
that you didn't know,
Monty
but
Irvin,
Manny Mota.
Cool Papa Bell. Have you heard of him
Yeah,
before?
yeah.
They
Manny
said
Mota.
he could go into bed before the lights got dark. He stole 2 bases with 1 pitch. That's crazy.
Those guys were amazing, man, and they worked full-time jobs. Then played baseball.
Yeah.
They weren't practicing, and it wasn't like they had the best fields or the best equipment, man. And they loved the game.
Now we did get some comments on our Instagram Live, by the way.
Right.
It says, I didn't know this, MLB announces on June 20th, first ever MLB Negro League Classic featuring the Giants versus the Cardinals in Birmingham State.
It's going to be in Alabama.
That's interesting. Yeah, that is really.
They ain't gonna play all the black players.
I'm
only teasing.
I don't think it's enough.
Yeah, but I'm saying, and it should
they're going to have on the uniforms.
But it should be that way because the Negro League is a huge. First of all, what people don't realize is one of the reasons why they integrated was to your point, was business, because the Negro League played that night and they sold out all their games.
And they hated it.
They sold out all their games. And Major League Baseball couldn't get their night season.
Let's get this money.
They couldn't get their night games going because people weren't doing it. But what they failed to realize, the only games black people could play were night games because they all work full-time jobs. So they could only play after work. But they sold out every game. So it was part business. But even then, they didn't embrace Jackie Robinson with open arms.
Of course not.
You know, and matter of fact, since we talked, Philadelphia was the worst place. He said, if you ever read his wife takes Philadelphia was the worst place of all.
I know. I've seen the stories. I've seen them.
Yeah, and Reggie Jackson was from here.
Yeah, he said he hated it though.
Yeah, but I'm just saying he was from here.
Probably because of the racism. I don't know, but
probably. I think more. Yeah, but I'm thinking. So to me, I think is a natural fit. I think those guys. It's not like you took a guy who never heard of, and you put him over. You're talking about guys who anybody who saw them play left in awe. Anybody who saw them play left with stories.
So what are some of the arguments that are, I guess, like why are people upset or disagree with it?
Well, one, because they're saying, I think it's like the Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant argument. What I mean is, people who don't see people play have a whole different, they have a different thought process.
Uh-huh.
You know, and most people that I'm learning, what I'm talking about, don't really know sports. They just like the guy. So they go by what the guy did.
Of course.
So you're talking about a bunch of guys, you know, who were really, really, really good. But because the league didn't have a lot of name prominence, they thought they automatically think inferior talent because they don't know who they played against each other. They don't have a clue who played in the league. They don't get that. Jackie Robinson wasn't the best player in the Negro League. He had the best temperament that they figured he would handle when people start calling him names and stuff like that, which is why they brought him up, because they know everybody else down and be like, yo, who you talking to? You know, because he was young. Most of those guys were drinking and partying. They were doing their thing.
Yeah.
You know, but they had players down there who were amazing, man, who just never got an opportunity in Major League Baseball because it wasn't segregated at the time.
I was trying to see if I could find any like reasons as to why people would be upset, but I think like kind of like you said, the names
and
it's like hurt feelings. Like I grew up
hurt
some of your heroes that you know your
Babe
seniors
Ruth.
And race has something to do with it. It's just like when Henry Aaron was going to break Babe Ruth's record. You know, people that threatened to kill him, man. He got all kind of letters like, if you break the record because you can't break the white guy's record. That still exists now. That has not left. And there's certain people who believe, black hockey players, they call them monkeys, those stuff. There's certain people who believe sports should be a little bit more, but sports should be a certain way. That's some people are like that. And it's not the majority, so I'll make that abundantly clear. But there's a lot of people out there who they think it should stay.
Like
they
our
like
sport.
Yeah, it's all,
Like,
and it's
but you know what? But you know what's crazy? We legit just kind of did and said that same thing happens in basketball. We feel like that as black people when it comes to basketball and maybe even football. Even
I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
I'm just saying a lot of people.
I didn't say that.
A lot of people think, and that's why the Larry Bird thing was marketable. And like
the guy that played for the if he's as good as they say he is, the Sean Cooper that the Eagles drafted.
Mm-hmm.
They're already talking about he gonna be one of the few white cornerbacks.
I know.
Breaking barriers.
So that does matter though, because it sells when you're different. It sells when somebody breaks the norm.
Yeah,
it does.
It does.
And I'm not saying that has anything to do with racism. I'm just saying that it sells and people know it sells.
True.
It's
very true.
I give you another example. People have never seen George Gervin play, having a fit because Michael Jordan said he couldn't stop. Nobody in today's game could stop George Gervin. He going off having a fit. No, George Gervin was a pure scorer.
Mm-hmm.
So he knows because he studies the game. But people don't. When you hear Draymond Green, the stupid stuff he says.
I mean, I don't think they go back and necessarily watch.
But that's my point. But that's why people say some of the stuff they say. That's why they say what they say.
I mean, I think sometimes though they do look at some of this like that. The athleticism certainly is different. Very different.
But if you just go by athleticism, Steph Curry on athletic.
Who's shooting it like him?
No. I'm just debunking what you. I'm just debunking what you said when you said if you look at the athleticism, he ain't the most athletic dude. So Larry Bird is not the most athletic dude.
But he killed people. None of the games is not. Larry Bird because he can shoot it.
No. So you got to go back and watch the tapes. He did a lot more than shoot it. The way he passed the ball, the way he got past people he got to any spot. They tell stories of the fact that he would say, "I'm going to dribble 3 times and go over there and shoot." So the man was good. So
I'm not saying he wasn't good.
But so it's not always athleticism. Sometimes you can be smart and you just have a great skill set.
It's hard to see like too many people translate into today.
From back then?
Yeah.
Who do you know from back then? You can't say that because you know from back then.
It's hard to see.
Okay.
And I don't want to
Reggie Miller could have been today.
I don't want to hurt you and talk about your heroes.
You ain't heard me. Reggie Miller would kill in today's game. no hand check, and you can't grab him, Reggie Miller would kill today's game.
He can't dribble the ball.
He can't. He don't. He
Like
can't.
Klay Thompson.
He can't
Right
dribble
now.
the ball. What are you talking
Klay
about?
Thompson
right now.
What did you
How
watch? Yeah, but I'm just saying he couldn't. He's Allen Iverson. You couldn't hand check him. Michael Jordan put up 50 a night. You can't hand check and grab and push and shove. Those guys would score all kind of points. Those guys. I'm just saying those guys. So you can't say there's some guys in that time who can't play, who would not transition. But there's a lot of guys who would transition, who would still be able to play in today's game.
There's a few.
I think a lot, yeah.
So y'all know, but now I'm talking to a bunch of guys who don't know basketball. Tell me, what's your number when you say it's a few? You say it's a few. What's your number?
Realistically,
He about to be disrespectful.
probably. I can honestly, probably only like maybe 15.
See, now you just prove it to everybody watching you don't know basketball.
Only 15.
If you gonna say 15,
Well,
you just tell
are we
everybody you
talking,
don't know
what era
basketball.
are we talking about here? Let's talk about that.
I want to say like 30.
What era are we talking about?
What era you wanna
Will
talk about?
can play. for sure.
What's name is always talking about the 80s. What's name is always talking about the 80s and 90s. Draymond Green,
Oscar
Allen
Robertson.
Iverson can play in today's game.
Oscar Robertson.
Yeah, Vince Carter can play in today's game and dominate in today's game. You can't hand check, you can't grab. There's a lot of guys that can play in today's game. Doc could play in today's game.
You think Charles Oakley could play in today's game?
I thought you were saying Doc like Rivers.
No, I'm talking about Julius Erving. No, I'm talking about Julius Erving.
So you know what's funny? And that's
Oh yeah,
crazy.
yep, I do. Depends on Draymond Green is doing it.
me and
Draymond Green is doing it right now.
Me and Aaron was talking about that, and we just said that Dr. J would be Andre Iguodala.
No, get out of here. Y'all don't know basketball. Y'all don't know.
He got a better jump.
Y'all got to go back and watch. That dude was taking off on Pete. Get out of
I
here.
know.
So was he.
So was who?
So was DeMar DeRozan.
So
No, they weren't.
Iguodala.
Help somebody with some basketball knowledge. Help me. Dr. J would not be. He would be 10 times better than Andre Iguodala. Come on.
Who did he have to jump off? Bill Walton, rest in peace. Like it's like the guys, they're big men.
But
Got
they
big
play-
men
but they-
touching them.
No,
top of the backboard.
but they played in an era where they could knock the smack out of you, where you had to have skill to get to the basket. They played in an era where guys like Bob Lanier would knock your teeth out.
No, I think it's
They
more
played
so some
in
of
the
those
era-
guys had to play like that because they was
No,
not that
but I'm saying, but
skilled.
that's how.
Like
So
your
now,
Bill
no,
Lambiers.
but that's my point. When you get into a league now, when you don't have that kind of defense, where guys can't hand check you, guys can't. No illegal defense. I mean, there's illegal defense now. You guys can't play the zone. Yeah, you could go off. Guys who are athletic like that would dominate because no one person can guard them.
Guys are more skilled, I think.
Yeah, but it was skilled. See, if you watch back then,
Everybody.
look up. It's guys. Look up guys like Terry Collins. Look up guys that you may not heard of. I can't think his name. Billy Owens was pretty good. There's guys that could have played. And they would have been good.
Billy Owens was in the league.
But I'm just saying, though, that's what we're talking about. Guys that came. You said guys that came. There's guys. I'm telling you that you just don't know. But Derek Coleman was a beast. He was before his time though. Because guys weren't doing it back then. Back then you had to be a prototype kind of guy. We're going to get you on the box. Yeah. And some of these small forwards couldn't even come close, man.
Derek Coleman played today.
Yeah, Derek Coleman could play today. You go back and look at the tape.
I'd usually too slow.
You go back and look at Derek Coleman. You go back and look at Derek Coleman's tape and from back when in his youth. I'm not talking about his end of the career. So yeah, he could play today. He wasn't no slow slot. See, you think these guys? You think you was right about Lambert? There are guys back there who they were just
bruisers.
They were enforcers, but they were skill set guys. Isaiah Thomas. They were skill set guys back there. There was guys who had skills, had a hand, who could play in this game.
Yeah, it was like maybe 1 or 2 per team.
It was big three. Okay, so I'm not a huge Boston fan at all. I'm not. You don't think Kevin McHale could have played today?
I think
he was doing that baseline jumper before.
I think Carl Anthony Towns would have him in a blender.
You crazy? Carl Anthony Towns can't score. He can't stick anybody. What are you talking about?
Kevin McHale, I would give him some credit.
See, I know Devin don't watch back. He used to guard. He used to come out and guard. He would come out and guard. He would.
Move.
Kevin McHale with them long arms would come on the floor and he would play guard.
So I think that he
could move his feet.
He could shoot the ball a little bit.
Yeah, and he could play. As long as he played defense.
But
no,
he would be.
And he played great defense.
He would Porzingis.
He would come out. He came out on the floor and guarded people. So there's a bunch of guys from that day, and I'm telling you, who could play this game, who would kill today because you can't do what you did back then. You can't grab. Charles Barkley would eat lunch on some of these people.
Yeah, he would. Yeah.
Because you can't grab them, you can't hold them. You can't do to them.
He would kill.
You can't do that stuff. I mean, the stuff that you could do back then that they're not doing now, those guys would go crazy. Shaq got fouled 8 times before he got to the basket.
Yeah.
And they didn't call him. So imagine a day when you can't touch him. When you can just
they couldn't touch anybody either.
Who?
Vice versa, a lot of those older players were doing the same exact thing.
No, but
they can't touch them either.
But you in the no, that's not true. You look, the guys I named, they were very athletic. They could. Isaiah Thomas could have played defense. Joe Dumars wouldn't have been a great scorer, but those guys would have played defense. They could stay in front of people. They didn't have to. They weren't the guys that were muscle people. But Chris is right. The guys Chris named, they were knocking people out.
So we just bringing in role players now.
No, they weren't.
I'm just saying, like, who would come and be a star, like, and still be effective? Like,
you don't think Isaiah Thomas would be a star today?
I think he would.
You don't think Isaiah Thomas would be a star?
I actually think he would. I think he would, because he was a bucket. He had handle. He's quick. He could finish over giants.
So George Gervin was Kevin Durant before Kevin Durant. So same. He was a better scorer though, but same kind. So you don't think he could have played? He would have been a star in this game?
I don't know if he was my 30. I gotta take a look at my list. You know, you asked me to kind of craft this here.
Doc could have played in this game. Julius Erving, not Doc Rivers. I didn't say Doc Rivers. Could have played in the days.
Dr. J might be an honorable.
There's guys that could have played. There was a guy named you probably never saw. Sean Kemp could have played in today's game.
Sean Kemp, oh yeah. That was Blake Griffin.
Sean Kemp could have. He could have played, and yeah, he was better than Blake Griffin. Blake Griffin was like, I don't know. But do you know? I'm just saying there was guys that you could have put. So there's a lot of guys that it's more than 30 guys that train. And some of you see,
35.
You guys
I'll give you 20.
I thought my kids knew better.
I gotta sit there and look down.
Now you got to be sitting here watching black and white films.
They ain't color hardwood classes. They don't color. They got one color. Watch the hardwood classes.
All right, you know what? I do want to watch a hardwood classes game with you. We could sit here and watch it in its entirety, and we could just.
John Stockton would get cooked today.
He wouldn't have.
But he was giving people fits in the 90s.
Well, no, he would still give people. No, he would give people fits if they're on offense. Defense, he couldn't guard anybody.
Didn't he lead the league in steals or something like that? Though?
He kind of playing off the ball. He was the assist guy. With Karl Malone. Now he couldn't. Now he would still get it. He wouldn't be shutting people down though. That was not his forte.
TJ McConnell.
That was not his forte.
Yeah.
I would say he was a hybrid TJ McConnell. He was better than TJ McConnell. But I would say I think offensively he would be fine. I think defensively he would struggle. I think defensively he would struggle.
Coach Chiefs could play today.
Yeah. Now to Chris's point, he wouldn't be the best in the league, but he could hold his own because he had a handle and he had a decent shot. But
what they call handle back.
That's not a guy that I would take. That's not a guy I would take and put up, and say, he's gonna be a superstar today, but he could play in today's game. To your point, he would probably be he would be a solid player in today's game. But there's a guy you never saw play, Andrew Toney, who was scoring before everybody else was scoring, before they were doing all this crazy stuff, could put the ball in the basket. And so if you Google him, guys like that who could shoot. Could really shoot the basketball and drive the basketball. Yeah, he would be okay in today's game. And there are some guys like Bill Laimbeer and Bob Lanier. It'll be a little different transition for them because they bruisers. They are bruisers.
And there's a lot more of those than not, like Charles Oakley and other guys.
But Charles Oakley, that was his role. I agree with you. Today, but the Davis boys were different. Davis boys had some talent.
Theo Rattler.
Theo Rattler. Well, he wasn't a star back then, but he would be a solid player on somebody's team today. He would be a poor.
Fareed,
he would be a poor man's version of Ingram, of Brandon Ingram. Theo Rattler. He would be a poor man's version. I say not
Brandon Ingram.
He would be a poor because that's the kind of game he could step out, hit the jumper. He could do stuff around the back. I said a poor man's version. I didn't say Brandon Ingram. I said a poor man's version.
I can't just say that.
Have you ever watched some play? See, y'all just ratting out names.
Theo Rattler, he was like a big man.
But that's all you know. See, but you never watched these guys play. He wasn't a real. He was on the Sixers and he was good with the Sixers because the Sixers had the pieces around him. He was a tall, lanky guy with long arms. He had some athleticism around the basket. Yeah, around the basket. You know, that's why I said poor man's version. But Brandon Ingram is in the league as well. Matter of fact, I saw that David T. Sixers were trying to get him. But anyway, he was the number one target for that team. They said he was the number one target for them. But anyway, so there are guys like that who would just be role players. But there are guys out there that will come and be very good.
Yeah.
You know, there are guys that would, and they would hold them and probably dominate. I mean, because like what was
the average 40 back then? Like, you know, what was the average like speed of players back then? Like, I just know, man. I think it's that drastically has changed. Like, you got
someone like John Moran think it's witchcraft or something. It would be bad.
Like John Moran is it's dudes that are at a whole nother level of athleticism. Like point guards are averaging like a 6'5", 6'6" now sometimes. Like it's crazy. Like,
but you gotta remember guys,
athletic.
But you gotta remember guys like Doc and them handled the ball as well. It wasn't, you know, there were some guys who gave the ball up because they had to get the ball, but there were some guys who were very capable of handling the ball. They handled the basketball. There's a bunch of guys, you know, it's more than 35 guys.
They're gonna be posting the basketball up the court.
But who was the guys want to do? Y'all, what game y'all watching? y'all just watch all the fours. Y'all need to turn to the Harvard class. Y'all need to watch the Harvard class. Because you go back and watch some of them games, man. They were shooting the basketball. Like Magic wasn't just post. They had 3-pointer back then. You had guys like
mid-range jumpers.
You had guys like Norm Nixon. They had 3-pointer back then. They had 3-point shooters back then. Steph Curry's dad. I'm just saying though. They had your 3-point shot wasn't just invented. No, Curry is unique, and somebody like that does not come along somebody like him does not, because it was new and it just they had to get it in. But there was guys shooting that ball. Downtown Freddie Brown before the 3-point line.
Freddie Brown.
Lloyd Free used to shoot from out there before the 3-point line. Those guys, there were plenty of guys who were shooting long balls before the 3-point line came. So don't get it twisted. It just wasn't a major point in the offense, because you're right, it wasn't a whole bunch of guys doing that. Steph Curry is a unique guy that comes on every so often.
It's crazy.
Klay Thompson in his heyday was a unique guy that come along every so often.
These guys
built like him don't shoot the ball at that clip.
These guys got a guard. Yeah. These guys got a guard. And depending upon which era you even playing in, like if you playing today and they can't hand check, it's over for them.
I watched Jason Williams cross up
Gary Payton.
What do you think Kyrie Irving would do to him?
Yeah, but you can't. Jason Wilson had
Jay Will.
He had a hand up before.
Yeah.
He never. Most dudes. He never. No, but what I meant by that, he never got the recognition because they weren't ready for that brand of basketball. But there was guys there was guys before him, like Pro Washington. There were guys before him who could do that, who was doing that, and the league just kind of, because that wasn't the style play they played. Didn't mean they couldn't play like that. See, that's the point. I think you looking at it like but because they had to, back then you conform to the system. Guys weren't doing what Allen Iverson was doing until he became Allen Iverson. When he first came to the league with the low haircut, man, and no tattoos and everything, man, people, and then when he started doing some of the stuff he was doing, crossing people, like he crossed Jordan over stuff like that wasn't happening, because people usually, when the rookies come in, they know their place.
And that crossover.
They know it. So I'm just saying though. Wow. So you say that, but there's guys who will come and do very, very, very. And if you ever watch some of these shows, they tell you, they name guys who will come here and be great in this league. But they talk. Gilbert Arenas always talks about them. There's certain guys back there.
I want to make a list now.
Who will come in, make a list. But see, you make a list of people you haven't seen. You sitting here talking about.
I watch highlights.
Well, you don't even watch highlights, because everybody wasn't backing people. Everybody wasn't backing people down. You had certain players who did back people down, but you had a lot of guys who were very athletic, man, who were out and about shooting bankers, running stuff off. Like Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan, he changed the game a little bit, because you got. I'm just saying, you got a big guy who can step out and bank it off the glass.
I haven't even been thinking about adding guys from the 2000s. I'm thinking about older. I feel like the 2000s,
they can still play.
Yeah, we know that.
I'm just telling you.
I'm just saying, guys. Even maybe some from the 90s, the 90s was a great era too.
Well, it's the era. So you can't to think about great era, and I always find myself disputing this. It depends on the style of basketball you like. because there's people who say that the 90s was great. Now, I like 90s basketball. I did. 80s and 90s basketball was good. I like 70s basketball. Each decade it changes. But if you like for scoring and athleticism and showtime, that's why Lakers are so good, because what you see now, they were doing. They had Norm Nixon would get in the corner, and they had guys that would knock down the three. They would run up and down the floor. This is the most entertaining game. Now it's getting worse though. It's getting worse though. It's getting worse now, because at least back then they played defense. Now you just got guys who run up and down the court. But so it is getting a little, and even in that era, you were allowed to foul people. Now you breathe on somebody, they call foul. So it's a different style of game. But the game is going to change every decade because people's tastes change.
Yeah.
And it's just different now. People are built differently. It's just, but it depends on your taste, because there's some people who would tell you this is the best basketball has ever been. And then there's some people who say, well, they liked it back when it was old time slow basketball. I grew up in it. I didn't like it. I didn't think you should be tackling people around like the Bad Boys of Detroit. It was entertaining, but it wasn't really basketball. It was intimidation. They were a good team, don't get me wrong, but they were intimidating people, knocking the snot out of people. It wasn't like now. I don't think that whole team would play over now because there'd be too many fights. See, that whole bad boy persona thing they did back then wouldn't play in today's game. Because these young boys, they ain't having it. So it wouldn't play in today's game. But there's talent in that decade, man, that could play in today's game. And there's something that has it. Like Bobby Jones played for the Sixers. Bobby Jones was a defensive stopper. Do I think he could be a defensive stopper today? No, I agree. And I've gotten to arguments about that. But that's
almost kind of leans more into the point that we were proving. Like, he a defensive stopper,
but he was playing guys that wouldn't be playing today. He wasn't stopping guys like Julius Erving and the guys I'm talking about coming over.
Who was he stopping?
He wasn't stopping guys. He was like in the ABA. Doc killed him. When they played in the ABA, Doc killed him.
I know DeMar.
He had to be stopping somebody. He was a lot more stars then. Like,
I know DeMar was getting bits.
He had to be stopping somebody. They're not gonna call you a stopper and you just stopping role players.
See, see now you just trying to crack jokes.
I'm serious.
Because you know what? Okay, let me ask you a question. There's guys in the days.
You shut down Pat.
Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons never stopped anybody that scored a lot of points. But that was his reputation. When you put him on a score, he never shut any top scorer down. He didn't.
I think it was the
but
steals.
He had, but nah, here we go. See, but no, but I'm saying you people gain reputation off who they play against. People they don't sit there and say, well, he's guarding. No, and Bobby he shut down some second tier players. Some teams like a Marcus, like I'm Cummings that played for Milwaukee.
He was in the running for Milwaukee player of the year.
Milwaukee had a team there, Junior Bridgman, Cummings. He could shut down Cummings because Cummings was the kind of player you said. Back in the day, back. That Bobby Jones played guys like that. And they were superstars back then. They could hit the bank shot, fade away, and he would give those guys trouble. Athletic guys he struggled with. There's no stopper that stops everybody. I don't care who you are. There's no stopper. You can get the best defensive player in the league, and you put him on some, like Kevin Durant or some of those guys, he will struggle because those guys are elite basketball players.
Right.
There's some guys that all you can do is hope they get bored.
But I still feel like there's definitely defenders who have caused fits for guys at a point in time.
Not for every guy. Some guys you match up against.
Like even Michael Jordan struggled against Detroit. Like initially,
they kicked his butt. They just beat the crap out of him.
That was part of their plan.
That was a different thing. They beat him up so bad on offense, man.
That was okay for the league.
And the Knicks too. Yeah, but that's what I say. So I understood them change. I understood them changing the rule. I did understand because had they not changed the rule, Michael Jordan that we see today, we wouldn't see. You wouldn't, because they probably broke his neck. Or he would have never made it to the chip because they were just beating between the Knicks and the Pacers and Detroit. They were beating the crap out of them.
Yeah.
But anyway, we way past the time.
We are. And I see we had a ton of comments on Power being unfortunate.
I'm sure they all agree with me.
Yeah, as what they say, couldn't really have them loaded up all here at once.
Well, something happened because the music worked today.
Right. But we do want to thank you all for tuning in, watching us, Instagram, Facebook, Podbean, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook. I said that, all of them.
Yeah, I got to work out this Facebook thing.
But definitely thank you all. Hopefully you enjoyed our conversation and you got something out of it. And I'd be interested to hear other people's thoughts and opinions. I think we talked about a lot of different things.
Yeah.
So share your opinions and thoughts.
Like, I don't know how we got to basketball.
I know on Catlin Clark.
We went from Catlin Clark to
MLB.
Yeah.
And then that nice little spirited debate about
The 15 guys that
about the 15 guys that he about to get it started. All right, everybody, take care. Have a great night and a great rest of your week. Oh man.
Oh, this is getting on my nerves, man. All of a sudden we don't have sound. I don't understand.
Was something on the settings, you think?
No, because the settings ain't changed. Some weeks we have it, some weeks we don't. I'm gonna go back and look at it.
Yeah, that's what to say. Wonder if it was the title. They don't want to.
It is right here. Legendary Borg has a bobcat slams racial biceps to keep. I'm telling you, a lot of people are saying that. Not they. Her complexion is your boy.
What do you do?
No, I'm just saying you just mentioned him like 8 times. That's what Angela said.
She said her brother was yesterday.
Yeah, but he said she was gonna walk over here with the dog.
Walk over here.
And she don't live far from it.
That's a far walk.
Ain't a far walk. You were lazy. It's not that much further than Lower Garden.
That's a far walk. You gotta cut through Little Garden. And then you gotta walk 10 more minutes here.
If it takes you 10 minutes to get here from Lower Garden, you got issues.